Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? This is Commander Starstrider with another review. This is my War of the Planet of the Apes review, and let me start off as usual by describing this uh, movie in one word. If I had to describe it in one word, I would say that this movie is masterful. It was incredible, man. This movie, man, it was so good. I saw this movie Thursday night on opening the preview night, and my initial thought was to give it 100, but I wanted to think a little bit about it, so I've waited 2 days, and I sat on it and I thought about it because I didn't want to be caught up in the moment of the thing. But I just remember walking out of that movie and thinking this is a masterpiece. There are some nitpick things, plot type things that I think um, made me not give it 100. Um, well, okay, so let me start off. So this is the third and final in the trilogy of the Apes that I think Fox is doing. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Fox uh, did this movie, and it was directed by Matt Reeves. So Matt Reeves, the first time I think anybody, the first movie of him of note that I can remember was Cloverfield, and I thought I liked Cloverfield. A lot of people didn't. It's now kind of becoming a franchise. So I really like that movie. I don't get bothered by the whole shaky cam type of a deal. But with this one and with what was it, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I I expect really great things from this guy. This guy is he's a masterful director. He did a fantastic job with this, and the standout in all of this is Andy Serkis. If I remember correctly, I do believe he got nominated for playing Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogies. Um, I do think that he definitely deserves an Oscar nomination, and he has the second male performance that I feel that way about. The first being Wolverine Logan uh, with Hugh Jackman, and the next being this one. And I think this performance was better than the performance that Hugh Jackman gave as Logan. And I think it's the best performance I've seen all year. I know we're only halfway through the year, but at this point I would give it to Andy, and I really hope um, he at least deserves a nomination. It would be a historic moment because I don't think they've ever given it to a performance capture, right? He's not CGI. He's giving a performance, his face, and I think the sort of the questioning behind why he hasn't gotten an Oscar before, or nobody for that matter in motion capture, is just the whole like, well, how much is the actor? How much of that is the actor, and how much is the animator? His him as Caesar, man, what a fantastic arc. This movie has a lot of biblical imagery in reference to Jesus and especially Moses. This movie is not. I know it's called War, but it's not like a Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down. I love war movies. War movies. I think war movies and comic book movies are probably my two favorite genres of film. Um, this movie, it is a war movie, but it's more like a like Heart's War type of a deal. More like the psychological. Actually, it's very similar to Heart's War in a lot of ways. Where I don't want to give I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's if you liked Heart's War, the plot is similar. It's not the same, obviously, um, but I, man, I couldn't get over the emotion. Uh, oh man, it is a masterful film, man. I highly recommend going out and seeing this movie as soon as you can before somebody spoils something for you, uh, which I'm gonna get into spoilers a little bit in a little bit. So I do think Andy Serkis definitely deserves an Oscar nod for this. And I would say that I'd even go so far as to say that Matt Reeves deserves a director nod. I think this is definitely the best movie I've seen this year. I would have said Logan up to this point, but I think this one beat it, and it's I think it's head and shoulders above the rest. It is a fitting end to this trilogy. I don't know if they're going to try and make a fourth one or whatnot, but I almost wish I had gone back and seen the other two because there were some characters that I couldn't remember exactly. Like Rocket comes back and his son comes back, and I only saw those other ones once, but I loved them. Um, Maybe I saw them a second time. I can't remember. But when this trilogy comes out on Blu-ray or whatnot, I'm definitely going to purchase that. I can't wait for that. Um, so I'm gonna give you my what I think my score is, and like I said, my gut feeling was to give it a 100, but there were some issues which I'll get into when I get into spoilers. Um, so my score for this film on the Star Strider scale, I'm going to give this movie a I will give this movie a 96. That is the highest score I've given this year. I did say yesterday I was thinking 97. I dropped it down a little bit today. Uh, 96. Oh, and before I get into spoilers, I do want to talk about Woody Harrelson's performance, which I thought was great. There's one scene of exposition where they kind of say what's going on, and that's kind of okay. Uh, Man, every time I thought there were several there were several points in this movie where I thought, "Oh, this is predictable. I know what plot twist is coming here," and it didn't go that way. There were a couple times where I thought, um, "Oh, okay, I know what they're setting up here," and nope, that doesn't happen. It goes a different way. Like at least I think there were two. I know two off the top of my head. I think there were three times. Um, some characters you think, yeah. Now I'm thinking there's just three, but this movie was constantly surprising me. And I remember at the end there's a scene where I was so behind Caesar and his motivations and everything behind that incredible character. Um, I was like clenching my fist during this one scene because I was just like, oh, like please make it, please survive, please make it. Like it's been so long. Um, whenever I physically do that, like come on, like just like that, like I'm just rooting for the character so hard. I'm getting emotional, like even now talking about it. You know what? This movie is a 97. It is a 97 now that I'm talking about it. Um, uh, it, man, to get the audience behind the character in that fashion is not an easy thing to do. Um, that's the problem I have with some of these franchises, except for Marvel. Some of these like these Ghostbuster things are trying to do this Fantastic Four. See, this is the same studio that made Fox. It's like night and day, man. Like I don't understand how a studio can make a film or a trilogy, a franchise like this, and they can't do the Fantastic Four. Like I feel like they have this thing with when it comes to comic books where they disrespect the property. They think that comic book fans are idiots and that they could just put whatever up there. Oh, that's from the comic book, and not be true, not respect those characters, and that the idiots will show up anyway. And see, they didn't do that with this. They didn't rely on the title Planet of the Apes that had already blown up in their face once with the Tim Burton thing that I saw, which I didn't think was as bad as other people kind of made it out to be. It was definitely a Tim Burton film, but that's another story. Anyway, yeah, Woody Harrelson, I saw his motivations. I thought there was depth to him, and the way his story intertwines with Caesar's is is very interesting. I thought the plot so-called twist that I thought was coming that never came. I'm almost glad that didn't happen because it surprised me. Anyways, my final score is a 97, and I'm gonna get into spoilers now. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, click off. Go watch the movie. If you do want to listen to spoilers, here they are. Okay, you guys ready? All right. So the here's the premise. The movie starts off. There's like a squadron out looking for Caesar, right? And this is the aftermath of when Boba attacked, or Koba, I believe Koba attacked, and they're looking for their leader Caesar, who they think, to them they're all apes, right? They're all evil. So there's a battle scene at the beginning. Some apes die, but Caesar lets these four guys go free. The four guys think, oh, they're gonna butcher us like animals. They've even got them in chains on their knees, and they don't. They don't kill him. They're like, send him a message that I want peace, that I don't want this war. I didn't start this, and he thinks that also the fact that he spared their lives will be enough in and of itself for what it is that he's trying to do. Uh, you come to find out, I can't remember if in the second one there were some apes that had turned and were siding with the humans. Um, that's kind of a play. Every time I see that, again, I'm a war movie fan. I think of how a lot of Native Americans sided with the U.S. military when they were helping them track and hunt down other Native Americans. Um, so there's quite a bit of that treason going on. Oh man, and there's this one albino gorilla named Winter who does the ultimate backstab. He lets go another treasonous gorilla that they had captured, and he's like, "Oh, he hit me in the head," and then he disappears. No one knows where he went. Turns out he goes to this colonel, Woody Harrelson's character, and tells him where Boba's camp is, or I'm sorry, where Caesar's camp is. And just before this, after that battle, the aftermath, it's kind of like, okay, they're washing off. His son comes back. Here's where I needed to watch the second one because I really forgot the arc that his son went through. I'm having like a really hard time. I think I only saw it once in the theaters for some reason. Son comes back with Rocket, and they're like, "Oh, we found this wonderful place that we could settle," because they need to get out of the woods. There's just too many humans around. It's cold. They need to get out of there. So they're trying to get in to this wonderful. They found this wonderful promised land, a lake that's warm. There's trees. There's mountains. It's perfect. Um, so they're gonna go, but because this albino gorilla Winter ratted him out, the colonel sends his best hit squad in to shoot him, and he doesn't know what nobody knows what Caesar looks like, right? To them, they can't tell the apes apart. So he shoots who he thinks is Caesar, but it's his son. He kills his son and he kills his wife. And then Caesar, tries to get after him, but the colonel escapes. He cuts the rope. He's rappelling back up, and yeah, Caesar wasn't able to get him. And fortunately, Cornelius, his little toddler son, is still alive. And that's when Caesar tells the people, "You guys go to the promised land, get out of the woods. I'm going to go get this colonel." And the people are like, "Wait, what? Well, we need you." He's like, "No, you don't need me. They want me dead. I'm the one they're looking for." So he goes. And then this other large gorilla, which I remember him from the other movies, I can't remember his name. And therein lies one of my minor gripes with the film. Him, the orangutan, I can't remember his name, and Rocket. I know that orangutan's name. I just can't remember it. Uh, but the orangutan, a gorilla, and Rocket go, and they're out to get the colonel. And on the way, they meet this like comic relief guy called Bad Ape, who can also talk. I really liked Bad Ape. I thought he was hilarious. In all the right ways. He was not like annoying. He could have got annoying, but he was a lot of reviewers have been calling him, "Oh, this could have been Jar Jar Binks," but he was hilarious. It provided the laughs just like when you needed that. They meet this girl who's lost the ability to speak. Right? They come up on a lone human, and they're not gonna kill him. He's got like he's carrying wood. They're like, put that down, and then he pulls a gun and tries to shoot him, and then Caesar just blasts him with a shotgun before he can get a shot off. And that's when they find the girl hiding. And turns out that the disease that made apes smart and killed the humans has now mutated, and it has started making humans lose the ability to speak. And they're thinking it's gonna make humans be lose the things that make them human. And it turned out that they find some bodies in the snow. One of them is even still alive but can't speak. And they're like, oh, he can't speak like the girl. And it turns out that those bodies were infected. And one of them was the colonel's own son, which he shot because he didn't want it to spread. He shot him and he burned all their things. So he shot his own son, which is again biblical type of a deal, much like the leading people out of his very Moses. And later they're putting people. It's not a crucifix, but it's an S. They're basically crucifying these apes, because what happened is by the time that Caesar gets to the weapons depot where the colonels all hold up, they found this out because when they got to the colonel's camp, they found the albino ape there, and he's basically a coward, so he tells them anything. He was already working for the colonel, and he's like, I was the one who told the colonel where you were at. He's like, I didn't know he was gonna kill your wife and son. And then the rocket, the gorilla and the orangutans hold him down, and Caesar strangles him to death, which was it was good to see that, man. When the performances of Andy Serkis, man, the way the CGI is so good. His face, like, I think I let out an inaudible like gasp when I saw that his wife and son were killed, and I was on board, man. I was on board, and when that guy said he's the one who told him to see him get choked to death, it was that was satisfying. And I think that's where Caesar really just wanted peace. He's like, I didn't start this war. I don't want this war. Like, he just wants what's best for his community, for his apes. Um, and it's just like this war keeps landing in his lap, and he doesn't want it. Uh, so he gets there, and from the hills, looking down, he sees that all of his people have been captured, and they're all in there, and they're being forced to work without food or water. Eventually, while they're over there like scouting ahead to look around, a patrol comes up on them, and they try to uh, they try to stab Caesar, and the gorilla basically sacrifices himself, gets in the way. They kill the two scouts, and the gorilla dies. He dies right there. And that is a moment that I felt was a little short. They did get into developing his character because by this time they had the little girl with them. So it was those three lieutenants of Caesar's, plus the little girl, plus the other talking funny bad ape. And there is one nice scene with the gorilla. He puts a flower in the little girl's hair and he kind of like strokes her face. But that's it. There's not much else. And I feel like if he'd given us one, two, maybe just one more scene with that gorilla, we could have maybe liked him a little more. Now, I do think maybe the assumption was he was prominent in the other films, but I'm sorry, I cannot differentiate between him and some other gorilla. Like the only gorilla, like the orangutan, I remember because he's orange, he's very distinct. There's not too many other orangutans around that are that size. So I remember him. And then I think I do remember Rocket picking up the gun. Even his own son, I only, like I said, I only saw the other Rise of the Planet of the Apes once, so I don't remember. I do remember he had a child, which he left with his son's girlfriend or whatever, told him to take care of, but they've all been captured. Even as his living son is down there. Caesar eventually goes down there by himself. He gets captured. He's getting tortured. And the other guys find a way to help everybody escape. They find a hole and they're able to go down and tunnel underneath. There's sewers underneath. Then they're communicating, saying this is how many steps from here, from there, from that. And Caesar's trapped by this time. So they put together a plan to escape. Caesar's being tortured. There's a cute scene where this little girl, right? She's got a doll that the gorilla gave her, or the no, the orangutan gave her, but she's infected with this no talking disease. And there's a couple of exchanges with Caesar and the Colonel while he's prisoner, and man, there's a lot of like slavery type of imagery with getting a gorilla, he's beating an ape, and Caesar like stands up. He's like, "Leave him!" And then all the apes stop working, and then the colonel puts a gun to his head and is like, "Oh, tell him to get back to work." There's a lot of really good exchanges, man. I'm kind of glossing over it because I don't want to get into too much details, or otherwise I'm going to be talking for 45 minutes. Um, but uh, they put together a plan to escape, and Caesar finds out that this guy shot his own son, and that word's gotten out that this colonel's lost it. He's shooting his own people, and that what's rest of the humans, they're saying sending all of their military down, right? And the colonel is dug in to this place. He's making the apes build a wall, and this is a weapons depot. The weapons are still there; they're still active, and this massive unit is going to attack them. But they have the benefit that they're dug in to the side of a mountain, and they've got all this rocket protection. Either way, he knows what's going down. He says other humans are coming here. They're going to murder all these humans, and we're going to get caught in the middle of it. They are able to get everybody out. I don't think any more apes die of Caesar's. Yeah, there are some that die, but random ones. Is that right? Yeah, Rocket and the orangutan all make it, and so does a bad ape, and so does Lake, his son's girlfriend, and his son. So there are some that get shot during the battle, and sorry, there were just you know random apes, I guess, but no main character during the battle. Um, and throughout all this, one of the soldiers that Caesar let go at the beginning and said give him a message. You think it didn't go the way I thought. I thought he would have a revelation, a change of heart, right? That's the predictable thing. Everybody thinks, oh, he got back on active duty. He's gonna change his mind and he's gonna fight with the apes and help them escape. And nope. He fought the apes until the end. Even at the right at the end where all the humans are on the wall firing at the other humans. He's about to throw a grenade at this huge, like a train, those train tankers with the fuel inside that the train pulls. He's gonna throw a grenade and blow up the whole thing. And the guy he let go shoots him in the side with the crossbow. And he's like, oh! And then finally, that evil gorilla, the one that was whipping other apes, he's the one who has a change of heart and fires a grenade launcher at the dude at the arrow right before he's about to fire like a fatal crossbow at Caesar. He blows up that dude that Caesar let go in the beginning, and one of the other humans is like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he just shoots him in the side of the head. Then Caesar throws a grenade. He blows up the whole wall, and then the whole tanker, everything explodes. Man, all during this time, there's a huge battle. Right, the colonel's group is getting invaded. There's tanks, there's choppers, but his group has got all this anti-air, all these missile things they're firing away. But really, that's the backdrop of the whole thing. Caesar does manage to get up to where the colonel is, and there was a scene where he had isolated Caesar because he didn't want him to plot an escape with the other apes. And when the little girl just walked right in and hid and helped Caesar, she gave him the doll that the orangutan gave him, and she'd been handling it and I don't know, putting it in her mouth, who knows, but it was in fact, it had her germs all over it. And when the colonel pulled out Caesar to get him to work, he thought he was going to die. The girl saved him by bringing him water and food. And there's a scene, it's so touching. It's in the middle of the night. The little girl sneaks in to give Caesar water and food because he was getting tortured. He was up on a crucifix, and it's in Northern California during the winter, which is freezing. They poured water on him in the freezing cold, and he was about to die. If she didn't bring him like seeds and water, he was dead. And the colonel was like, if he's alive in the morning, put him to work. And he's like, how'd this doll get in here? So when he started handling the doll, he got infected. So when Caesar went up to confront him and kill him, he saw that the colonel had lost the ability to speak. Caesar had the gun in his hand, and the colonel just like kind of, minds to him with motion. He's like, just end me. He's like, put the gun here, and Caesar puts the gun back down, and the colonel takes his own life. And I thought that was deep, man. And also the scene where the little girl feeds Caesar. Caesar was at his all-time low. I almost feel like he had accepted his fate at that point, and he thought, "Yeah, I'm gonna die. I'm ready to die." But when the other apes around, he saw his son. They had segregated the children, or the whatever, the younger apes from the adults, and they start doing the apes together strong thing, and oh man, not a word was said during the scene. And Andy Serkis, just the look on his face, the look of Caesar going from succumbing to his accepting his doom to like, no, I need to lead my people out of here. I need to get them out of here. And that's when the plan started coming together. They were going to tunnel underneath and get everybody out. They were going to trick one of the guards to go in, um, kill him, and then take his keys. These guards were really dumb, by the way. When the guard went into the cage with like 100 gorillas in there, I was like, there's no way he would go in there by himself. Yeah, he's got a rifle, but there's 100, what, one M16 or what, assault rifle against 100 gorillas. You're toast, man. You can't. There's no way. They take his keys, and that's how they're able to get the kids out, because the tunnel collapsed where the kids were, and fortunately they got him out the night before, but there were so many gorillas that the battle actually it starts. But of course they let the kids go out first. The first one to escape was Cornelius, Caesar's kid, which is okay, good. The last of them were still escaping. Down, they were already all gone through the tunnel, because that one guy that Caesar like was like, oh, during all the commotion he was the only one that stopped and was like, where are all the gorillas? And he saw the hole, but by then they were gone. Most of them were gone. The last few were coming out the other side of the hole that was outside of the weapons depot center, and some of them did get shot. Some of them couldn't make it into the woods in time, and they got caught in the crossfire. Anyway, Caesar blows up the whole thing, and then what you think are the good humans. They may be good in the sense is they beat the colonel. But then because of all this cannon fire and everything, and it's the winter, a huge. This is I don't like this plot. This is another problem I have, is this plot device is a huge avalanche comes down and it kills every single one of the other quote unquote good humans, and they weren't good, because as soon as they had won the battle, they turned around and saw other apes, like the last of the apes that were still escaping, and they started shooting at them. I'm like, oh, okay, well, the humans, no matter who, if they're fighting each other, they're all gonna turn on the apes. And then Caesar is he's the last one out, and this is where I was like clenching my fists. I was like, please make it, please make it, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. And he's climbing up the trees, the avalanche is coming, and I didn't know if he was gonna make it or not, and he makes it. And then after like the snow settles, he looks around and all of his apes are up at the top of the pine trees. They all made it up there to not get hit by and including the little human girl who rode up on the orangutan's back. And after that, he leads his people to that promised land, with the lake, and it's a beautiful place. Everybody comes up over the hill, and then Caesar kind of is standing there with the orangutan. Maurice is his name. Yes, I remembered his name, Maurice, and Rocket, kind of there, and then oh my God, Maurice actually speaks. He can't speak. He just chooses not to. And he tells him, "Your living son will know what you did, and what you did for our people, and everything that you were and who you are." And then he sees that Caesar's bleeding out from the arrow that one human he let go. And so that comes back around full circle from the beginning. The guy who he let go killed him in the end. So he finally collapses next to this tree. There's the sunsets going down as this beautiful scene. And he dies, man. Caesar dies there. I was like, oh my god. And yeah, like the camera pans up, and then that's the end of the movie. And I walked out, and I just felt, man, it blew me away. I almost want to see it again. Um, but yeah, yeah, dude. And I walked out feeling like it was 100, and I was just thinking of everything, man. From him being a little I don't know, you call him a cub or a baby. What do you call them when they're little? Messing at that room, and James Franco's work with him, and being a teenager, and he's like, why do I have to wear a collar? Am I like you? He was raised by humans, and then he ends up fighting humans, and he doesn't hate humans. He wants his people to survive, man, and he stays alive just enough to see everybody going down into the river valley, and yeah, that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the trilogy, and he goes out like a hero. It's there's just so little wrong with it. I wanted one more scene with that gorilla, and I felt it was a little too convenient. The avalanche. I almost felt like they didn't need to kill off all those humans. And I don't think that means that all humanity is wiped out. I think all of their military is wiped out. That they said that was everybody that they had, at least in the U.S. Army, I believe. So I don't know what else is out there as far as military forces, but they said that was all that was left of the U.S. Army. That was everything. All their tanks were buried in snow, all their infantry. I didn't see any helicopters left flying around. I think the last helicopter, yeah, I think there's one, and you see it get shot down and crash. And that was like the last helicopter during the battle. Because they said they were sending everything. So um, it's the apes world now. Um, yeah, dude, it was masterful. And then now I'm almost wanting to give it a 98. You know, yeah, but it was fantastic. You know what? I think I am gonna bump it up to a 98. Man, this thing keeps going back up higher the more I think about it and talk about it. So, anyways, that's my review. Let me know what you guys think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think of my review? Leave your comments below. Like and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.